In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. We are going on with the topic of destiny or fate in Islam. Look, everyone necessarily feels a sense of choice, a sense of will within themselves. Everyone feels it. In the first point, we said that for God to be just and wise, He has given humans a partial free will, a choice, so that we can be held responsible. But here, the point is that a human being personally feels the existence of this will. You know it by necessity. You feel that you have the freedom to choose, that you can make decisions, that you have the right to decide. You know the existence of this willpower through your own conscience. I mean, ask yourself, am I like a robot or am I a being with a will? You feel this deeply. You become aware of it through your own consciousness. How do you become aware of it? Well, look, right now I'm sitting. When do I get up? I get up when I want to get up. See? First I want it, then I stand up. It means God creates the action based on what I want. Or let's say I'm going to pray. When do I pray? I say, let me pray. I desire it. And then God creates that action for me. I am aware that I am the one wanting this. Or imagine you're walking down the road and the path splits in two, right and left. Who chooses the action at that very moment? You say, Shaitan, should I go right? Should I go left? Or like earlier, I was making a payment. You think, should I pay tomorrow or next month? And you think about it, you decide which is more logical, and you choose. You choose, and God creates. We are aware of this process. Otherwise, it would be like, man, I didn't want to stand up at all, but suddenly I'm standing. How did they make me stand up? There is no such thing. You don't say, I don't want to walk, but look, I'm walking. That doesn't happen. You want it, and God creates it. Our conscience knows this. So, one proof of free will is simply that we feel it and are aware of it. Now, knowing that something exists is one thing, but knowing its true nature, its essence, is something else entirely. That's a general formula. For example, we mentioned the sun. Knowing what the sun is made of, what atoms are in it, what's going on inside, that's one thing. But knowing that there is a sun up there, that's a different thing. Knowing the existence of a thing and knowing the content of a thing are different. Take the soul, Ruh, for example. It's obvious the soul exists. Inside this body, there is a being that thinks and feels. These functions can't be explained by just flesh and bone, right? Flesh and bone can't think, can't cry, can't feel sadness. This is just meat. So, inside this, there is another being doing these things. We know that being exists, but we don't know the nature of the soul. What is it? Is it light? Is it electricity? What is it? We don't know that part, but we know it's there. There are many things whose existence is obvious to us, undeniable, but their true nature is unknown to us. Look at the mind, the intellect. Does it exist or not? You talk to a guy. It's obvious he has a mind. If he's speaking nonsense, you say, this guy has lost his mind. But if his choices are logical and consistent, you say, he has a mind. You understand its existence or absence. But can you show me this thing called mind? Can you define it perfectly? You can't. So, this partial free will falls into that category. We are a self, right? Does this glass cup here have any thoughts? Does it think, I am a cup, they use me to drink water? Does it have consciousness? No. Does it have the ability to choose? No. But God gave the human self this consciousness. A human can think, I exist. And God gave this self the ability to choose good or evil. We might not know how that choice mechanism works technically, but it exists. Can you show consciousness? You can't. Just because we can't explain exactly how the mechanism of choice works inside us doesn't mean it doesn't exist. We live it. We experience it in our choices. Everything is not limited to what we know. If we said things we don't know don't exist, the universe would be very small. It would only be as big as our own brains. But the universe is huge. Our lack of knowledge about something is not proof of its non existence. I don't understand angels. Does that mean angels don't exist? I don't know how electricity works. Does that mean there's no electricity? You aren't required to know everything. So if a person can't understand fate, Kader, they can't simply say fate doesn't exist. Sometimes atheists do this. They find a young student who doesn't know much about religion and ask him a tough question. The kid can't answer. They say, see, no answer. It's all fake. But that's not fair. The kid should say, look, I don't know. But that doesn't mean there is no answer. Go ask someone who knows. I heard a story about a student who won a spot at a top university. He ended up in a dorm room with some atheists. They surrounded the kid and started bombarding him with questions to shake his faith. The kid said, do you guys actually want to learn the answers? I have some older brothers, mentors, who know this stuff. Let me take you to them. They said, no, don't bring anyone else into this. The kid replied, see, you aren't asking to learn, you're asking out of malice. Even though he didn't know the answers, he defeated them with that logic. Not knowing the answer doesn't mean the answer doesn't exist. So, to summarize, not knowing the essence of something doesn't mean it doesn't exist. We don't know exactly what the mind is, but it exists, or consciousness is, but it exists. Therefore, just because we cannot fully define how free will works doesn't contradict the certainty of its existence. Someone might ask, what exactly is this partial free will, chuzi irade? It is the ability to choose, it's a small wish. When something is placed before a human, they can choose. Humans can't just create a thought out of nowhere. God presents the situation and the human chooses. God's will is different from ours. God can will something that doesn't exist into existence. We just have a switch, yes or no, do this or don't do this. It's a very small partial point of selection, but this is very important. It shows that God values us. By giving us this choice, God is saying, I will take your preferences into account. That is an honor. If He said, you have no say, you will do whatever I make you do, that would lower our status. But He gave us the dignity of choice. Now, people try to dig into this and say, but if God creates the action, isn't it forced destiny? Look, making a decision is a thing. You were undecided, now you decided. A decision came into existence. Since God creates all things, God creates the decision. So people get confused and think then God made the decision, not me? No. The act of deciding is an internal toggle. It's not an object created by power, it's a preference. It's attributed to the human. Because people don't understand the difference between God's power creating the outcome and the human will flipping the switch, they assume it's all forced destiny. But it's not. Finally, the answer lies in our nature. Our conscience testifies to a hidden distinction between voluntary actions and involuntary actions. Is your heart an organ? Yes. Can you stop it at will? No. Is your stomach digesting food right now? Yes. Can you tell it to stop? No. Those are involuntary. But moving my arm, that is voluntary. The fact that there is a clear difference between my heart beating, which I can't control, and my arm moving, which I can control, proves that there is a mechanism of will. The fact that we can't fully describe this hidden mechanism doesn't change the fact that it exists. So, out of the 7 points regarding fate, the first two are about proving free will exists. You can't just blame fate and deny your own responsibility. We proved free will exists first by God's justice, and second, because we feel it. Now, we can move on to how it relates to destiny.